What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Sports Planet podcast. I'm joined once again by Daniel Tanious for episode 16. How you doing today?
Back again and doing good. Ready to get this going.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So on today's episode, we've got our reactions to the Eastern Conference Finals, our NBA Finals predictions, and much more. But first, here are some headlines from around the Sports Planet. The NBA Finals will tip off on Thursday, June 1st in Denver between the Nuggets and the Miami Heat. The Nuggets seek their first title in franchise history. Meanwhile, the Heat seek their fourth. The Stanley Cup finalists said as well. The puck will drop on Saturday, June 3rd in Las Vegas as the Golden Knights host the Florida Panthers. So this is the second trip to the Stanley Cup final in just 6 seasons for the Golden Knights. They lost 4-1 to the Washington Capitals in their inaugural season back in the 2018 Stanley Cup final. And both teams seek their first championship. In the NBA, Bob Myers announces he's stepping down as the Warriors' general manager, saying that, quote, "it's just time." And then the Philadelphia 76ers hired former Raptors coach Nick Nurse to become their next head coach. I saw someone say that they went from the 76ers really went from being from having Doc as their head coach to a Nurse as their next head coach. Some stupid shit like that. Yeah. And then the Austin Reeves free agency sweepstakes is heating up as reports came out that the Spurs will try to poach him away from Los Angeles, but the Lakers will match any offer sheet Reeves signs up to $100 million, according to The Athletic. And then in soccer, PSG confirms that Messi will leave the club after this season. And a little more soccer news right here. Karim Benzema to leave Real Madrid once his contract expires after 14 seasons with the club in Spain. He'll join Saudi Arabia club Al Ittihad, hopefully I said that right, on a 2-year deal worth over 400 million euros. And then last but not least, unfortunately, the Tigres defeated the Chivas 3-2 on Sunday night in Guadalajara to capture the club's 8th title. I only say unfortunately because I'm a Chiva fan, but whatever, got to be unbiased here. So anything that stands out to you before we move on to the show?
Man, I'll be honest, almost all these stand out for me except this very last one. That's the only league I don't follow.
Yeah.
Finals, definitely looking forward to that. Messi leaving PSG is another big one. I love Messi. I'm just a Messi follower, so wherever he
He's the
goes,
GOAT.
I kind of go. He's definitely the GOAT. That's one of the things you can't debate in soccer is that he's like the undisputed GOAT. But that one's pretty big. Austin Reeves sweepstakes. I know the Spurs are trying to pair him with Victor Wemby and Wemby, but he's here to stay as a Laker. I believe we'll keep him, and I know they said their offer up to 100 million. I thought it was going to be 80 mil, but 100. I feel like they're setting that number to hopefully have teams not offer as much, so they don't have to pay them 100 mil. But at least we know they're willing to not make the same mistake as they did with Caruso and not just paying a little bit more to keep a great player.
Exactly.
The NHL Stanley Cup Finals. Looking forward to that as well. Honestly, my prediction is I'm going to go with Vegas Knights.
Yeah, I think they get it done.
For that. And as far as that, those are pretty much the main headlines that are sticking out to me at this moment.
Just real quick, the Austin Reeves thing. I just feel like I wish it went from us I want to say it was 4 years, 60 million earlier in the season to now 100, which I'm not opposed to, but I'm like, why would you say that you're gonna go up to 100 mil? Now teams are gonna be like, all right, this is their point. Let's go 105 if we really want him, or just do 100 to screw over the Lakers and their cap space, you know? Mm-hmm. So it's like, why would you set it so high? I'm like, if that was the case, I'd have been like, oh, nah, we're only going to pay him 60 mil a year. Someone offer him more than that if you want. That way you get him for less than what you actually want.
That's actually a good way to look at it. I think I was looking at it the other way. I think they were saying 100 mil, so teams will be like, oh, we're not even going to bother offering, and then maybe they'll offer them like 80. But I actually do like your point of view as well, because maybe if they never threw out that number, teams wouldn't offer more. Because I thought the cap was going to be around 80, so maybe now teams might fuck around and offer like 110, 120 or something. Like, who knows? So, yeah, actually, that's a good point. I feel like
that's why I'm all like, I wouldn't mind paying Reeves the 25 mil a year, but it's just like you're giving the other teams leverage into making you have to pay it now. But that's all I have for headlines right here. But moving on really quick before we get started. I know we don't really talk hockey much, but I just wanted to highlight this. because obviously we have two Florida teams in their respective final, the Florida Panthers in the Stanley Cup final, and then the Miami Heat in the NBA finals. But like, just wanted to highlight this Panther stuff real quick. They faced off against one of the greatest team of all time, historically speaking, in terms of wins and points, right? So let's see, where is it? Right here. So they defeated the Boston Bruins 4-3, which was the best team in NHL history, like I just said. So they had 65 wins, with the previous mark being 62, 135 points, with the previous mark being 132. And not only on top of like facing off against that team in the first round, they also overcame a 3-1 deficit. So like, I just wanted to highlight that because we have both both Southern Florida teams going off right now. It must be great for the city and all that, you know. So I have it right here on the screen. And then second round, they defeated the Toronto Maple Leafs 4-1, swept the Carolina Hurricanes 4-0 in the Eastern Conference Finals, and then now they face the Golden Knights in the Stanley Cup Final. So if you see, like, they kind of do seeding a little different in hockey. So the Bruins were like the number one overall seed, kind of. And then the Maple Leafs, second seed in their division, the Atlantic Division. And then the Carolina Hurricanes were the first seed in their division, the Metropolitan Division. And then the Golden Knights are the first seed in the Pacific Division. So, you know, it's like they're facing off against some really good teams and all that. I just feel like with the Panthers, I feel like unfortunately it's going to be a sad time for both Florida teams. You know, like they're on a great run, but it's all like all good things must come to an end at some point. And I just feel like the Panthers, like how you said, Vegas will take this one, and the Heat will take theirs. You know, this is also a little playoff run for the Heat. They lose the first playing game against the Hawks at home, so now they have to play the Bulls for the 8th seed. They're losing towards the end of the game, and then they end up pulling it out, beat the Bucks 4-1 first round, beat the Knicks 4-2, and then beat the Celtics recently 4-3. So we'll get to that soon. So. But what do you have to say about this? Like, I know we don't really talk hockey much, but like anything you want to say on both Florida teams' playoff runs?
So you going for the Vegas Knights for NHL?
Honestly, I'm not going for anyone. I'm a Kings fan. I don't really watch hockey that much. That's why we don't really talk it that much. But when I do watch hockey, I go for the Kings. They're the LA team. They won those championships when I was back in middle school, you know. So I don't really I'm not really rooting for anyone. If anything, if I had to, I would root for the Panthers just because they're the underdog in this. Mm-hmm. But I think Vegas, like I mentioned earlier, they already went to the Stanley Cup final in their first season in the league, because they just came into the NHL a couple years ago. This is only their 6th season in the league. Mm-hmm. So I feel like that first loss will end up fueling them to finally get over the hill and then and make it to the mountaintop and finally become champions. So like that's how I feel for both of them, honestly, because obviously they were both the 8th seed in both of their leagues. So and they're both from the Miami area, and they're both playing against the 1 seed, I guess you could say, from the other conference. And it's just like they shouldn't be here, but they are, because they've played so well. They've exceeded expectations, and then that's why I'm rooting for both Florida teams, just because I wanted to see the underdog win. In terms of NHL, in terms of NBA, I want to see Jimmy Butler finally get his ring. But I just feel like their opponents are too strong, and they'll end up losing in their respective finals.
You know, I'm a change already. I'm going for both Florida teams to win. I feel like it's the year for the underdog. 2023.
Hopefully.
I already said Vegas Knights about 5 minutes ago, but I already had a change of heart. I'm going both Florida teams underdogs. I just feel like it's a year of the underdogs, and I'm rooting for both of them. And regardless, I think both matchups are going to be great. Obviously, we're more focused on basketball than hockey. So for the Heat one, we're not to get into now, but I'm going for the Heat, and I actually believe they will get it done. For the NHL, I don't know too much, so I'm just going to go for the underdog and hope for the best.
Yeah. So today's, like how I mentioned earlier, we're going to talk Eastern Conference real quick first, before getting to NBA Finals. I kind of mixed those two. So I just wanted to talk about Game 7, of course, but a little bit of Game 6 and how we got here, right? Okay, so obviously Game 6, Miami's up by 1, 3 seconds left on the clock. So obviously, and this one right here, Derek White is taking the ball out. And somehow, it ends up in Marcus Smart's hands. He chucks up a desperation 3. And somehow, nobody was boxing out the inbounder. Because he's gonna go to the corner this way, and then because you're expecting to get the ball back right away, he's trying to space the floor, so he's gonna go to the corner. But once he sees Marcus Smart chuck up the 3, his IQ is off the charts, and he goes straight to attack the basket. And the thing about this is that people can say that they added 0.9 seconds, whatever. But this was on the Heat right here because they failed to box out 2 players on this, which led to this play.
White will inbound. It's off the Smart for the 7th game. No, command checked in, but the buzzer sounded.
Right.
The White was on. It'll be reviewed. I don't think he got that in yet. You have to protect the offensive rebound.
0.1 seconds left on the clock. That shit's crazy.
Damn.
But look, this is why I say they failed. They failed to box out 2 key players. So obviously the first one is Derek White, the inbounder, and then the second one being Jason Tatum. So this is a kind of a slow-mo. You see that? Derek White is right here, right? Strus is behind him. And then you have Jason Tatum right here going down the lane as well. So it was kind of like they were both ready to get the offensive rebound. Obviously, Derek White gets it. He saves the season. This was terrible execution by the Heat. So this is what ended up leading to the Game 7, right? And I just saw it's just crazy to see that how close the Heat were to finishing Game 6. But as bad as they finished, this is why I chose Miami going into Game 7. Because everybody was saying, you're crazy. It's in Boston. They have all the momentum. And it's like, nah, bro. If the Celtics were trying to give them the game, it would. I don't know. What do you have to say about Game 6?
Well, Game 6, let's be honest, we both picked wrong because we both picked Heat winning Game 6. And I was shocked when Celtics won at the buzzer. Whether people want to say they added time or not, it doesn't really matter if you don't box out. That's basic fundamentals, and you don't stop until time's run out. So they didn't box out. Celtics deserved to win that. Even they shot, I think they made 7 threes that whole entire game, and they still had a chance to win. So that just goes to show you he should have won that game, but they just didn't do proper fundamentals at the end. But then I was actually on the opposite. When Celtics won, I said, wow, they're going to go and they're going to be the first team in NBA history to come back from 0-3. So I was like, they just have so much momentum. But I wasn't I felt like they were going to win, but I wasn't too confident. I was like, dude, you still have Jimmy Butler on that end. And I feel like Jimmy Butler will do whatever he can to win. He's one of those players. So I was picking Celtics, but I was saying it quietly. I wasn't too confident in my pick. And they just came out and they've been the better team, and they came out and closed it out and made it very exciting series. That's for sure. I mean, it was a great series. It's going to be a great finals as well.
Yeah, man. After what Jimmy Butler said last year, it's kind of hard to go against him, man. I'm sure a lot of people have seen this, but just in case they haven't, this is from some Twitter user, and he says the fact that Jimmy Butler said this exactly 1 year ago after losing to the Celtics in 7 in the Eastern Conference Finals, and then it actually happening is crazy. So this is obviously how last year the Celtics beat the Heat on their home court. People can say, should Jimmy have pulled up, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And this kind of also came into my prediction as well. I was like, if the Celtics beat them last year on their home court, why is it so hard for the Heat to beat the Celtics on their home court this year? So this was Jimmy Butler last year. after that Game 7 loss?
Had enough. Next year, we will have enough, and we're going to be right back in the same situation, and we're going to get it done. Had enough. Next year, we will have enough, and we're going to be right back in the same situation, and we're going to get it done. Had enough.
Yeah, so that's Jimmy Butler after last year Game 7, and I just kind of want obviously the Heat end up winning Game 7, 103-84. They completely killed the Celtics in this game. So anything you want to say about this one? Because this is why I chose Jimmy, man. I chose the Heat because of Jimmy. He lost 3 in a row. You see him smiling after each game, and it's all he was never worried. So, what do you have to say about Game 7?
Game 7, it was crazy. Be honest, I was at the Dodger game for our first Dodger game of the season.
Oh, yeah.
They pulled off a dub, but I was watching the game on Stream East on my phone during the Dodger game.
Hey, don't air it out like that.
Everyone got to use it, but anyways, actually no, I was using a cable provider. I'm a good citizen. So I was watching the game, and man, they just came out on fire. Heat were just playing so well defensively, offensively. The game was just. It looked like after the first quarter, it looked like the Heat just had it in the bag. Like they did, just look like they were in control the whole time. And I'll be honest, when you posted on your Insta, who wants to bet on Game 7? I was about to hit you up and bet against you, and I was just like, but like I said, I wasn't so confident in the Celtics enough to bet on them. I was confident to say they would win, but I wasn't confident to put money behind those words. But yeah, Caleb Martin came up big. Bam started off pretty poorly. Didn't have really that good of a Game 7, but he played well on the defensive end and made some shots when it mattered. And yeah, man, they just had a will to win. And when you have a will to win, it's no matter how much talent's on the other side, sometimes that will just outdo the talent. And that's what we saw.
Oh man! Right now that you said that, I'm I can't really zoom in much more. Oh yeah, I can. One sec. There you go. So you can see right here, maybe you remember about Mark Cuban when he tweeted out the other day. He's like, got a personal question for everyone watching Heat versus Celtics right now. Who is watching on a pirated stream? I'm curious how prevalent it is. It's all like what you said. That it's like, hey yo, really. It's everybody was responding all funny. It's like Mark when people respond yes, he's over here the fucking Karen in the bar calling the cops, and then you have where's the other one? Oh, this one right here, Ballsack Sports, and then he puts as if they're the police tweeting out as Mark Cuban. It's just
that's so funny.
It's just all of these shits, yeah, man. But yeah, so obviously Game 7, the Heat end up winning. And that's why I had this tab up open earlier. I just wanted to talk about Jimmy Butler's Heat resume real quick. Everyone clowned him for going to the Heat and saying that when he mentioned how he thought he could win a championship there. But the 76ers really messed up, because they chose Tobias over me. Remember Jimmy Butler? Tobias over me? Damn, that's crazy. That's and I agree with you, Jimmy. I don't get why they chose to pay Tobias over you. Imagine Jimmy Butler with Embiid. Obviously, that happened already. But I'm saying, how they are playing right now, that team would be unstoppable. If anything, this Heat team could have been the 76ers. This should have been the Sixers in the finals this whole time. But they chose to sign Tobias Harris. Now they have James Harden, a player who can't win in the playoffs. But Jimmy has done nothing but great things since joining the Heat. So obviously in his first season there, he took them to the NBA Finals. This was the Heat's first appearance since LeBron left. And then they're the first 8 seed to reach the NBA Finals since 1999. They're the first play-in team to make conference finals and NBA Finals. And then this is the third time that he's led Miami to the conference finals in the past 4 seasons. And obviously, like we just alluded, that's their second NBA finals in the past 4 seasons. So honestly, this could have been their third easily, but obviously they end up losing last year. But whatever, Celtics pulled it out. So they could have easily, but the Heat could have easily been in their third NBA finals since Jimmy signed with them. So I don't know, man. Jimmy is a great player. He's doing all this with not as good of a supporting cast. Tyler Hero goes out in the first game, you know. So, and I say not as good as a supporting cast, not because they're not great at their jobs as role players, but because of the names. There are a lot of undrafted players. Everybody was writing them off. We were writing them off in the Milwaukee series. You know, it was like whoever wins A seed is going to have the privilege to get stomped by the Milwaukee Bucks. And then it's all like, but Jimmy Butler shows that at every level, he doesn't play based off the team that's on paper, this and that. He plays with his heart. He plays team basketball. He trusts his teammates. And this is why they're in the NBA Finals. Not only Jimmy, but everybody else, all the role players stepped up as well. So what do you have to say about Jimmy's resume or anything else you want to mention?
Jimmy's just an animal. I'm so glad he's with the Heat. I've really enjoyed him since he's joined. And just to put in perspective, his playoff numbers this year are like out off the charts. He has 29 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals. He's averaging about 40 minutes a game. And we say like his supporting cast isn't as good, but I feel why it worked in the Heat and why it wouldn't work in the Sixers, because I feel like maybe he seems to be the alpha and he has to be the best guy. And maybe sometimes in the regular season, he doesn't seem like he is the best guy on his team. But when it comes to playoffs, he turns it up a notch.
Yep.
And I feel maybe that's why the Heat worked better for him than the Celtics. Is he wants to be the guy. He wants to be the alpha dog. And I feel like if he was with the Sixers, he's behind Embiid, kind of maybe not leading the charge as often. So, and I feel like he has like a chip on his shoulder. So when he has a bunch of teammates that are maybe undrafted, no one really knows about them, he uses that to motivate them to get the very best out of each player.
Yeah.
And he's doing this without their second best scorer, which was Tyler Hero, but we don't know anymore, with Caleb Martin kind of emerging. And without another pretty decent role player that was coming off the bench from Victor Oladipo, obviously not the same player as he was before the knee injury. So those are 2 pretty big players to this team that he's playing without and still bringing this team to countless conference finals and finals. And every year, if you look at them on paper, they don't look like the best team, like at all. They don't even look like a top 5 team in the league, but time and time again, they're making it as far, showing that regardless of what's on paper, it shows what you do on the court. So very impressed with Jimmy Butler, and I'm happy for him, and I'm rooting for him.
Most definitely. Yeah, man. So anything else you want to say about this before moving on to the finals and our predictions?
No, sir.
No. All right. So we got the 2023 NBA Finals. Obviously, Denver Nuggets, Miami Heat. So this is their starting lineups right here. I just put it up here real quick. So, and I put their heights on there to kind of highlight it because it shows how the Nuggets have an advantage at every single position, height-wise, you know. So you have Jamal Murray, he's 6'4", compared to Gabe Vincent, who's 6'3". The only ones that are equal or same height are KCP with Max Strus at 6'5" each at shooting guard. And then Michael Porter Jr., 6'10" as a small forward. He'll be matching up against Jimmy Butler, who's 6'7". Obviously, I'm taking Butler in that one regardless, because just because of height. Just because Michael Porter's taller, I'm still going to take Jimmy regardless because he's Jimmy Buckets. And then even at power forward, you got Aaron Gordon, 6'8", Caleb Martin, 6'5", and then obviously at center, Nikola Jokic, 6'11", whereas Bam Adebayo's 6'9". So it's just like this is why I'm going with the Nuggets. I'm rooting for the Heat as a third party bystander since the Lakers are out, and I'm not rooting for the Heat because I hate the Nuggets or because they eliminated the Lakers. I'm rooting for the Heat because Jimmy Butler is one of my favorite players, and he's just having that playoff type run where, like, 2018 Braun, obviously they lose in the finals. 2019 Kawhi, you know, like those type of, like, these players, they're just gonna beat everyone in their way. And it's like this one is gonna be tough for obviously for Jimmy and the Heat because the Nuggets are a complete team. They have great players all around. They have size, they have length, they have shooting. And They have great chemistry within each other. Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic. I saw someone compare them, an NBA analyst compare them to, are they the best duo since Kobe and Shaq? Not in terms of dominance, but like in terms of how well they complement each other, how well they play off each other, you know? And I kind of liked it. Obviously, a couple other people said 2016 Kyrie and Bron, 2018 Steph Curry and KD, or 2020 LeBron and AD, you know? But it was a good comparison because these two are really in sync right now. So in terms of NBA Finals, I have the Nuggets in 6, and I have them in 6 because I know Jimmy Butler will not let them get swept, and they'll win at least 2 games. So what do you think about the NBA Finals this year?
Real quick, my pick is Heat in 7, and
okay.
I'm going for it. And I feel confident to even bet some money, but maybe I'll wait till a game or two before I bet any money on it. But yeah, like I said, on paper the Nuggets are the better team. But I will say the Heat's bench is a little bit deeper than the Nuggets, because Nuggets only have basically 2 people off the bench. Is Bruce Brown, which is a great player, Jeff Green, who's kind of inconsistent, but he comes and does a solid maybe 10 minutes. But I will say he have just a deeper bench with Lowry, Robinson, if Hero comes back, and I wouldn't be surprised if Kevin Love is back into the starting lineup for this series due to the hype, because Max Strus hasn't been having the best playoffs, and they used to have Martin off the bench, so I wouldn't be surprised if Martin comes in. He's the starting shooting guard. Put in Love in there with Bam to add some more sides to kind of throw off Jokic. Don't be surprised if Eric Spoelstra does that. And I feel like there's a little bit deeper of a team, which more just solid role players, but just not as much just individual talent that they have.
That star power.
Yeah, they don't have that really star power. But one thing I want to see is I want to see if Jimmy Butler is going to be guarding Jamal Murray this series. Because if I feel because he seems to pick up the strong or the hardest defensive objective, task on each game. So I feel like he's going to be guarding Murray. And I'll be honest with you, when he was guarding Tatum and Brown this past series, you could look at their numbers, but when he's guarding them, their numbers aren't as good. He's forcing them to tough shots. And like I said, if you could take out Murray and you make him not as productive, that's the key to success for the Heat. So I wouldn't be surprised if that matchup is something to look out for. Jokic is going to do whatever he wants, I think, because we saw how he did against our Lakers, which AD is the best. We could say was one of the best defensive players in the league, and then he just came and he's almost averaging a triple-double against us. So I don't think Bam is going to be able to do much. And Jokic is going to be Jokic, so it's going to be up to Butler to slow down Murray. And I don't really think they have an answer for Heat's outside shooting. But we'll see. It's going to be a great series. I'm picking Heat in 7. No matter what, I don't think this series is less than 6. Even if I'm wrong, I feel like it goes 6 no matter who's winning it. But I'm picking Heat in 7. And we'll see. Also, be interesting if Hero comes back. I do think they'll have him kind of maybe play off the bench for the whole series, depending on how things go, and kind of have a spark off the bench. And you never know, that could be a little bit of a game changer. So we'll see. Overall, it's going to be a great series.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the Nuggets, the Nuggets are just playing so well that I can't pick against them. But I am rooting for Jimmy Butler to get his ring. But all we really do know. Well, anything else you want to say before moving on?
No, I think I covered my main
points. I liked your analysis about maybe moving Kevin Love back in, because obviously they did put Caleb Martin into the starting lineup, but I could see Kevin Love coming back just to help combat that size. Maybe move Strus back. Move Strus to the bench because Caleb Martin's playing so well right now that like he's earned his starting spot. That's why I also have a key bench players. Kyle Lowry, he's going to get minutes. Duncan Robinson's going to get some minutes. Then I have Tyler Hero on there just because he could possibly return by game 2, according to Woj, if not game 3, which is crazy because nobody expected him to come back because obviously they didn't expect him to win, get this far. But yeah, man. So I'm excited for this finals because I believe it's the 2 hottest teams in their respective conferences. And it should be a great series. I don't get why everyone's saying I'm not going to watch just because it's not Lakers Celtics. Sometimes it's not about the history behind the franchises. Obviously, that would have been great because you could say, imagine they're both playing. Who's going to win number 18? Who's going to be the one that loses the 18th to the other team? But this is going to be a great series. I'm looking forward to it. Jimmy Butler versus Jamal Murray. And then let's see how much Nikola Jokic looks at Bam Adebayo's barbecue chicken alert. Yeah, man.
Another player to look out for is Highsmith as well. He got some minutes in the Celtics series. Honestly, didn't know much about him until I watched him. He had some really productive minutes, so I wouldn't be surprised if he gets some as well. And Duncan Robinson, I know a lot of people were hating on him in Game 6 because he was bricking those threes, but he was having a great game before then. And he kind of was non-existent beginning of this playoffs, and you see as he got a little bit more minutes, he's actually been producing, and he's been living up to his contract because a lot of people say he's overpaid. So happy to see him doing well. Still don't like how every time he takes a three falls down, and he looks like was it the guy from Jimmy Neutron?
Sheen. Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see. It's going to be a good series. And same thing. If people say they're not going to watch it because Lakers Celtics, they're just not really just basketball fans.
Yeah.
And I mean, as a basketball fan, it's going to be a great matchup, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, let's see which of these teams gets the elimination graphic, because ESPN has been posting that every single game or every single time a team loses, right? Except for the Warriors. So it's crazy because it's all like, obviously, every single team has got it except for the Warriors, and it's all like when they did do the Warriors, they didn't even like put a graphic. All they did was this thing right here. The Lakers handed the Warriors their first playoff series loss outside of the finals under Steve Kerr. Everyone else got an elimination graphic minus the Warriors. So that's all I got to say about that right there. The Nuggets are opening up as heavy favorites. Oh, my God, I can't even talk right now. So I have this little graphic right here. The 2018 Warriors opened up as minus 1075 favorites against LeBron and the Cavaliers back in 2018. The one where they ended as a sweep. They were right. They were right on the money because they didn't win a single game. So then the 2007 Spurs against LeBron James and the Cavs. And then this year, the Nuggets open up as minus 360 favorites against the Miami Heat. So slightly ahead of how the Lakers opened up against the Heat a couple years ago at minus 350. But this is the guy I was telling you about earlier, the ESPN analyst, Kirk Goldsberry. This is where he alluded to on paper, the matchup doesn't look close, but Butler doesn't play on paper. Just ask the Bucks, Knicks, and Boston Celtics. So this is what he had to say about Jimmy Butler and the Heat being underdogs in the NBA Finals. So I mean, like, it's the third biggest underdog in terms of odds, but I don't see them as that big of heavy odds. I mean, as big as underdogs. I just feel like that's just how well the Nuggets and Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray are playing. That's why the odds are so expanded, or however you want to say, so off. So yeah, anything else you want to say before moving on to things you love to see in Feels of the Week?
Well, keep in mind also the Heat beat the two best teams record-wise in the playoffs so far. So it doesn't seem like they're too much of the underdogs just because they've already beaten the Bucks and the Celtics, which had a better record than the Nuggets. But we'll see. And then also the Warriors. It's so funny how they don't get posted.
That's just crazy.
But everyone else does. And I was also wanted to mention earlier, I know Bob Myers stepping down as GM. I'll be honest, I was actually surprised. But I don't really keep up too much. But it seems like a lot of Warrior fans are happy about it, because a lot of people are saying now they could finally make trades for like some bigger stars, because they just been spending all their money on like Wiggins and Poole instead of going for bigger other stars. They're kind of just been dropping a lot of money on players that they already have, such as Wiggins and Poole and stuff like that. So we'll see. I'm a little not super well informed on Bob Myers, but he did build a championship team, and without them, I don't think they win all those championships in these past years. So I was actually surprised to see him step down, but sometimes NBA Twitter is just a little hostile and they'll go against everyone. So
Yeah,
that was just my little 2 cents on that part.
it's either they love him or they hate him. There's never in between.
Yeah.
So that's it for NBA Finals predictions. Just wrap everything up. Moving on to things you love to see. So this is Garrett Wilson and Brett Beatty, wide receiver from the Jets. Brett Beatty, third baseman from the New York Mets. They grew up together, and last night, Wilson threw out the first pitch to Beatty at the Mets game. So if you're watching, you can see that Wilson right here on the left, he's wearing Beatty's Mets jersey, and then Beatty on the right is wearing Wilson's Jets jersey. So it's all like it was cool, like seeing this because obviously, like you playing sports growing up, you and your buddies always talking about going pro, whatever. Obviously, and then now they're here. It was actually that Beatty was his quarterback, so growing up or whatever, you know. So now the roles flipped, and Wilson's over here throwing the first pitch to Beatty at Citi Field.
City in the world, playing ball, playing the sports that we love and grew up playing, and and not having the past that we had. So for me, just seeing his success is so exciting, and I know he's able to end up in the biggest city in the world playing.
So yeah, that's what I have for things you love to see. What about you, Daniel?
Thing I love to see is Caleb Martin's performance in these playoffs. Is what I love to see, going from an undrafted player, coming and becoming basically showing as the second best player on the Heat so far this playoffs. A lot of people say he deserved the Eastern Conference Finals trophy over Butler. I mean, you can make that argument. I feel like they're both deserved either way, but he's been balling out. As you can see his stats, got 19 points, 6.5 boards, and almost 2 assists versus the Celtics. And throughout the whole playoffs, he's been averaging 14 points, 6 boards, and 31 minutes compared to last playoff run. He was only averaging 12 minutes. And the biggest one I want to highlight is he's been shooting over 60% in the Eastern Conference and over 57% for the whole playoffs this season. So he's just shooting the lights out. And his plus minus, he's plus 104 in the 2023 playoffs, which is crazy to see.
Yeah.
So it's how we made the leap from this year to, or last year to this year. It's just crazy. And you just love to see players that are the underdogs coming out and making a name for themselves. And he's going to get a big contract when his time is coming up. So happy to see it.
And this is just coming 2 years afterwards because 2 years ago he was waived by the Hornets before the 2021-2022 season. And now, fast forward to May 2023, it says right here on the graphic, Eastern Conference Finals hero. And like you alluded to, it was pretty close in the MVP voting, actually. It ended up being a 5-4 split in favor of Jimmy Butler. But I could see why people were voting for Caleb Martin, but like I also see why it ultimately went to Jimmy Butler in the end, because he's the leader of the team. Without him, they wouldn't be there. But Caleb Martin is a great story to show that no matter what happens in the past, keep fighting, keep moving forward. You know, like they say, what is it in Finding Nemo? Just keep swimming.
Just keep swimming. Another thing too that I saw, Max Strus was waived by the Celtics. Was it
that was a
2
couple
years
seasons
ago,
yeah.
3 years ago, and then now he is eliminating the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals as a starter on the Miami Heat. So that's also great to see. Just a lot of underdog stories, and I gravitate towards underdog stories, and I like it. So
yeah, most definitely. So now moving on to fails of the week, I have the quarterback battle in Tampa Bay. Obviously, Tom Brady recently retired. Now they bring in quarterback Baker Mayfield, and they also have a player they recently drafted a couple seasons ago in Kyle Trask. So I just wanted to highlight this as my fail of the week this week because they're professionals, right? They should be able to complete some passes when players are just running routes against the air. But as you can see from this video, it isn't going so well. Oh, bro, this is bad. And then it does Baker, obviously. It's all like, man, they're probably calling Brady back right now, saying we'll offer you anything you want. Just we'll give you a blank check. You write whatever you want in here. That's how bad it's going down there in Tampa Bay. But Brady already said he's not going to come back, and he's going to look forward to his broadcasting career in 2024. So yeah, that's what I have for fails of the week right there for me.
Kind of looking like me out there.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's not a good sight to see.
Yeah, that's when you say, "Oh, I haven't played in a while." I just got to warm up my arm.
Yeah.
That's them. They're professionals.
Yeah.
That's them, though. What about you? What do you have for fail of the week this week?
So my fail of the week, which could also be a love to see, but my fail of the week is the Celtics not making history. And as a Laker fan, I'm a Celtics hater by default.
Definitely.
And I was worried after they were coming back. I thought out of everyone knows stats. Actually, I don't know if everyone knows stats, but 151 teams have gone down 0-3. Only 4 teams has forced a Game 7, and the Celtics were the first of those 4 teams to have their Game 7 on their home floor. So It looks like history was lining up, and me, I was salty. I was like, damn, I do not want Celtics to make history. I'm salty. I can't want them. So my fail of the week is Celtics just not making the comeback that everyone – actually, a lot of people had them go and winning Game 7, I will say. A lot of the ESPN analysts and those analysts out there after they won Game 6. But my fail of the week is them losing, and it's also my love to see it because as a Laker fan and a Celtics hater, we love to see it. So that's my fail of the week.
Yep, Celtics failed to complete the comeback. And like how you said, those ESPN analysts and all that. TNT. Once I saw Chuck say that they were winning it, I was like, "Oh, dude, I'm definitely betting on the Heat." So yeah, that's
whatever Chuck says. Usually go against.
Go the opposite. Go the opposite.
You could. I feel like 9 times. I want to say 9 times, but a majority of the time, whatever Chuck says is put money on the opposite of what he says, and you can make some money. This is for our listeners. It's a little helpful note. If you want to make a little bit of cash, don't do all your life savings. Maybe throw $100, whatever opposite of what Chuck says. Might win some money.
Yeah, majority of the time, Chuck is wrong, so just bet the opposite. But as always, remember gamble responsibly. But before we finish off, I just wanted to show this stat real quick that from Bleacher Report. It says the Heat and Panthers had as many wins at TD Garden, the arena of the Celtics, and the Boston Bruins, and at TD Garden in this year's NBA and NHL playoffs as the Celtics and Bruins did. So Miami Heat, Florida Panthers on the road won more games than the Boston Celtics and Boston Bruins in their own arena. And they only played there one series. Obviously, the Bruins only played in one series. They lost first round. But the Celtics had 3 series, and they failed to win as many games as the Heat did on the road. So I just wanted to close up with that. Anything you want to say about it before we take off?
And everyone says it's tough to play in TD Garden. We don't know if that's true anymore. I guess you just got to deal
Jimmy
with
buckets.
Yeah, you just got to deal with the racists there. But other than that, I think you're good to go.
Literally. But yeah. So before we take off, make sure to follow us on social media at Sports Planet Pod. You can also find these episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. So I just wanted to say, Daniel, thank you for taking time out of your day to join us for episode 16. And to the listeners, thanks for tuning in. And we'll catch you all on the very next episode of the Sports Planet Podcast.
Life is good, I've decided. Now I'm away from this violence out there.